Zoran Mamdani rally with AOC, dude. He's fucking surging, dude. He's going fucking crazy right now. And I think with AOC with the endorsement, she endorsed him, I think, right as he was starting to surge in the fucking polls. And now with AOC endorsing him, that shit's gonna fucking shoot to the fucking moon. Like, quite honestly. I don't know what venue this is, but it's like it's looking fucking packed. Probably some kind of theater somewhere. It looks like, or like maybe like a comedy club, like a big comedy club or some shit. I don't know. Like the, like the places, yeah, concert hall, or like those places where like stand-up comedians do their specials for like Comedy Central type of deal. I think as well. That's like the vibe that I'm getting here, or it could be just a theater. I think it's also like a theater. This place is fucking packed to the brim, dude. Look at this shit. Packed. Every fucking level. All 3 levels. People are in it. That's crazy. I wonder what AOC said. Did she say anything? Yeah, Como could never.
People is that political establishment sends to so many people is that it does not matter your positions, your content, your ideas, how experienced you are. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how much you work with them. They will still choose their old friends and an old generation every single time.
Hey, lefties! Hey, we're jingling the keys here. I thought AOC only capitulated to fucking Democratic leadership. It's almost as if there's more complicated fucking political games that are being played in the background that none of you motherfuckers have any idea about. No fucking clue, no idea. You guys have no understanding of whatsoever. And it's almost as if, in order to be successful in the annals of fucking goddamn Congress, whoa, crazy. It's almost as if there's a lot of wheeling, dealing, compromises that you have to make in order to fucking, whoa, be able to be effective. Well, that's the fucking thing, Boy Meets Minnie. Who cares if it's like a bad vote, right? It's most bills that, generally speaking, get passed in Congress are all going to be bad inherently because they're huge omnibus bills. I don't give a shit about, like, if something is bad in particular. The only thing that you can probably point to as a concrete example of a bad vote of poor political instinct by AOC was the Iron Dome funding. That was poor political instinct there by AOC. Period. End of story. That one you can rail on. But as for all these like dumb fuck omnibus bills, it's like you can't really fucking criticize many of those things because the thing with those bills in particular is that it's just complete fucking just dog shit in them. But there's always going to be a couple of things that are good in there. Quick reminder, Bernie Sanders also voted for the 1994 crime bill because there was some provisions in there that were agreeable, that were good. But he still fucking voted for that dog shit crime bill. And you'll still see motherfucking dumb fuck lefties sort of like hang that over the head of fucking Bernie for no fucking reason. It's just like, dog, like, if you're fucking going ahead with all this stuff. Now we can do like the utilitarian calculus meme or whatever the fuck saying like, well, Daho, you're a utilitarian, right? It doesn't make any sense because, whoa, crazy. If we are talking about the contents of a bill, if it's something that's mostly just going to be bad, you're not going to really want to vote for it. The problem is that it's not that fucking simple if we're talking about American fucking politics. Because some bills are must-pass bills to make sure that the government is still functioning. And there could be political fucking consequences if you decide to be the vote that doesn't allow a particular bill to pass. There can be problems with it. And these are all calculations that you have to make overall. It's sometimes you have to make very fucking tough decisions in the annals of fucking Congress. Because again, you're going to have the media fucking hounding you about it. You're going to have your party hounding you about it. You're going to have the opposition fucking hounding you about it. And if you're not like popular enough or well known enough, it's going to be near impossible to be able to overcome all of these fucking factors. Exactly. Like, if she voted no on that probable bad bill, which is probably fucking bad, filled with a bunch of fucking dog shit in it, but with probably some good provisions in there, she votes against it, she's going to get dogpiled by literally everyone. The media, her party, the opposition, I mean, the opposition is going to fucking dogpile her anyways. It doesn't matter. Who cares what they think? But everyone would have fucking gone after her, right? So, in terms of being able to stay within Congress to have more effect on change, because the overall strategy is rather fucking simple. Overall strategy, if we're talking about Congress people in the annals of power who want to try to effect some form of good, broadly speaking, they have an understanding that Congress is, and I'm pretty sure every fucking squad member would agree with me on this, is that they, broadly speaking, understand that the annals of Congress are just complete, utter fucking dog shit. Completely fucking wretched, corrupt, horrible, near impossible for one person to be able to do any effect. Even like a collection of about 10 people. There's power there, certainly. But in terms of being able to wield that in particular ways, you still have to be relatively careful because, again, you're the fucking underdogs that can be easily snubbed out and taken out instantly by not only the powers that be, but also your fucking party. That is the fucking issue. But that isn't a slight against representative democracy. Exactly, Boy Meets Mini. If anything, that can certainly make it better. However, as you're also saying, the problem is with how Congress is currently operating. Personally, I think the House of Representatives is fine. I think the House of Representatives, personally, should have way more fucking seats. Probably, add, double the fucking seats, for example, let's say. I think the Senate should be completely abolished. So, actually, yeah, have it something similar like our fucking goddamn political system. Instead of having a Senate, get rid of the Senate. I think the Senate should be utterly abolished, gotten rid of, and have a bunch more fucking House districts and only have a House of Commons. We only, for example, we just have a House where all of our representatives go there to represent their constituencies, their ridings, for example. Same thing, same concept applies here. I think if we want to sort of have to take care of the problems of Congress, add in way more fucking seats, get rid of the Senate, and just add way more seats, have more representation for people within Congress. And, still have the presidency and shit on top. Blah, 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 blah. We can also talk about ranked choice voting, a parliamentary system. That's a completely different story. But if we're talking about, some form of, mainline fucking improvement, although, abolishing the Senate is, to be quite honest, quite radical, I guess, in the terms of, the, sort of, American fucking zeitgeist. I think that it should just be gone rid of, done away with. I think it's a completely just worthless institution. It does not accomplish any of the things that it's supposed to accomplish. It's quite literally just there to be able to have smaller states have more representation over states that have significantly more populations, which, again, not really conducive to democracy. Blah, 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 blah. We get the broader point. And like you're saying, Boy Meets Mini, we basically have one congressperson per 600,000 people. It's insane. Nowhere near as much as in Canada, for example. I think in Canada, it's about one representative per 100K people. Something like that, right? We have 300 something ridings. Our population's about 30 million, I think. Let me double check that. How many ridings in Canada? 334 ridings. So 334 ridings. Population of Canada is 30 million. Population of Canada. Oh, we're at 40 million? Huh. I didn't know that. We broke the 40 million mark. But, quick maths. Yeah, quick maths. Everyday money's in the book. It's about 100K people per riding that each person within the House of Commons is representing. That's a lot more equitable, for example. But again, like I've been describing earlier, the structure of Congress is fundamentally broken because when the American Revolution happened, and lefties correctly point this out, it was a more liberal bourgeois revolution that basically set and held the interests of the bourgeoisie and the American bourgeoisie higher. That's certainly a correct statement. That is a correct assessment here. But now all of a sudden we're going to go after particular fucking representatives that are trying to do what they can effectively within one fucking constituency, within one sort of district, to try to bring some form of overall change here. We're going to go after her like more vociferously for some reason because, you know, she was trying to come in as like a firebrand and then learned the sort of mechanisms and tools of Congress and came to the conclusion of, I would be 10 times more effective within the annals of Congress to be able to change, to be able to bring things for my constituents, to bring improvements for my constituents within my constituency in order to affect change that way. But again, the problem is if we're talking about like a lot of lefties or a lot of people in general, even though they're like stupid politics heads, for some reason, none of these people seemingly have like an idea about these structures and ways of looking into the thought processes of people to, you know, for as to how like these mechanisms work for some reason. And they just completely forget about that and just like turn their brains off and do like, I don't know, 3 IQ fucking LARP shit. Like, that's really all there is to it. What else? What else? What else? What else?
Political leadership, including in the Democratic Party.
That is really, really quiet. City we can win. I'm mostly looking for clips here. Bob Dylan. It's mostly just quotes. This can no longer be a city of pied-de-tres for the rich and the global elite, AOC says. If we can change the page in the biggest and best city in the United States of America, we can change the page in our country too. Again, like explicitly, she's talking about the rich and the global elite. Like, and this is like who we're going to go after for some fucking reason. It's very strange to me because like she had like 2 or 3 bad votes on like particular bills. Like the Iron Dome stuff, okay, that I can agree with. A lot of the other bills, the problem is that it's a problem with Congress. Huge problem with Congress in generally speaking. I'm more sort of talking about like grander sort of strategic plays. But the problem is that no one fucking thinks like that ever. Even though the Republicans think like that all the fucking time. Also, Zoran wins and will set precedent for Dems across the country. I do agree with this, Boy Meets Mini. It will show to the Democrats that what is going to be more effective, populist messaging. Now, is that really going to go through to the Democrats? I have a feeling that no. I'll be honest, given just how entrenched the gerontocracy within the Democratic Party is, I don't know. That's like a really, really tough read and a tough call to make. I think, the individual that I agree with the most on this is Joe Lewis, because people are saying like, if, to be honest, like someone was saying like Democrats need to replicate Zoran's strategy in order to be able to win everywhere. And Joe Lewis was like, no, I disagree with that. I think this is a specific New York thing, and it's only going to work in New York. And I broadly agree with this perspective. A lot of the problems with the Democratic Party, generally, very often, is not like social media messaging and, the sort of like particular campaign strategies. It's not the problem. The biggest problem with the Democrats is that they are just incredibly ineffective due to the fact that they want to have the exact same interests as the Republican Party. That is the problem with the Democrats, broadly speaking, which is why they're electing to do their do-nothing fucking strategy and just let, Donald Trump randomly fucking burn out and let him just do whatever he wants and then just sit there and do nothing. There's a reason why that strategy is fucking stupid. It's the old saying, right? The saying is basically Democrats fucking hate their constituents while the Republicans are in fear of them. That's the biggest fucking problem. Democrats are not really in fear of their constituents because of the fact that their constituents, broadly speaking, have all manners and all flavors of fucking ideological perspectives. So it is very difficult for them to sort of form a unified front of hating the fucking Democrats. Let's be honest here. Although, honestly, given what's going on, perhaps the Democrats may have to start to change. Because even Democrats are starting to disapprove of the Democrats. Which is a good sign, by the way. Among Democrats, 53% disapprove of how the Democrats are handling their job in Congress. Their approval rating is currently at 21%. And this is something. This is where now you can strike and have potential movement. The problem was during the first Trump administration, generally speaking, and even during the Joe Biden administration, among Democrats themselves, the Democrats were approving of what the Democrats were doing. Obviously, all the criticisms of the Joe Biden administration withstanding, blah, 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 we can talk about that, yada, 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 yada. The problem is that the Democrats were entrenched and were always willing to never budge from the Democrats. The fact that now Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are so ridiculously fucking ineffective, and people are starting to more and more voice their fucking disapprovals, it's allowing people like AOC more breathing room to be able to criticize leadership and not get reprimanded as much for that, because of just how ridiculously weak they are and how much stronger she is in comparison. Keep in mind, Chuck Schumer is going to be, I think he's up for re-election, or he's going to retire relatively soon. He knows his position is in fucking danger, but he's just choosing to not really give much of a shit about it, which is probably going to cost him politically. When is Chuck Schumer up for re-election? Is it 2026? It's 2028 is when he's up for re-election. But he knows, broadly speaking, he is very, very, very unpopular. This creates an avenue potentially for a progressive. He's not going to run IMO age. You're probably correct there, Boy Meets Mini. What is his age? $74. Oh yeah, he's probably not going to run. Too old. Eric Adams is probably polling terribly, Alex, but Eric Adams is a little bit of a different case. Eric Adams decided to play the corruption game so ridiculously fucking blatantly, and that's, broadly speaking, I think the main reason for as to why Eric Adams is pretty much just fallen, but he's just fully committing to the bit of just being a corrupt, stupid asshole, and just not giving a fuck about it anymore, to be honest. Because let's be honest here, Eric Adams is not popular. The only reason why Eric Adams ended up winning the New York mayoral election was because turnout was ridiculously low. Like, very low. Wasn't the turnout like 30% or something? Like, it was really bad. And that's why he was able to win. Because there was like not many particular constituencies that he needed to appeal to. All he needed to probably appeal to was just like older, more conservative black voters, and he was able to squeak a win that way. If I were to take a guess, but, you know. The problem is, it's not about Dem voters learning, right? The problem is with the structure of the Democrats itself. The fact that there are so many fucking disparate fucking coalitions and so many people within the Democratic Party that think in particular ways is the main issue. The tent is extremely fucking big, and instead of trying to narrow the tent and stand for something in particular, the Democrats' overall strategy is to keep expanding the tent. That's not going to work, obviously. You can only expand the tent so big, obviously, to include so many people until you're just having to fucking get in a bunch of fucking Republicans at this point. Whereas, you know, the Republicans, they are just dragging their voters further and further to the right. Or rather, the voters are dragging the Republicans further and further to the right. There's a more symbiotic relationship there. The Democrats do not have that exact same relationship with their voter base. For them, it's way more fucking goddamn hostile. Yeah, you know, the fucking stupid abundance agenda stuff. Like, yeah, fucking libertarian billionaires are saying like, yeah, this is like kind of cool and good. Yeah, we like this. It's nonsense, right? Like, the main problem with the Democratic Party is, simply put, no other fucking argument here, is their political fucking strategy. That's the main fucking issue. Because, again, their dumbasses are still stuck in the fucking 90s where they had seen some semblance of fucking success. Another factor, by the way, is Obama's cultural osmosis. Obama, broadly speaking, is still relatively popular amongst Democrats. We all know the meme of, I would have voted for Obama for a third time, right? It brings blood-curdling, like, shivers to a lefty's fucking spine. But if you talk with average Democrats, they would go along with that 1,000% of the time. And if we're talking about the main people who helped catalyze that fucking strategy of do nothing, completely fucking utterly worthless fucking Democrats, the roll over on your belly, present yourself in a submissive position Democrats, it's Obama. That is the sort of, well, perception that needs to be shattered. And with shit like this, without Obama's fucking charisma to carry it, because that's the thing that was mostly able to carry it and hold water for it and distract from it, the horrid, wretched Obamaite strategy was his charisma. The fact that he was able to speak really well and sound very fucking personable. No one in the Democrats is able to fucking replicate that. And so as a result, people are starting to see through the Democrats' bullshit. And starting to say, this right here, this is an opportunity to potentially shatter the seats and annals of neoliberalism and to catalyze some form of progressive movement. This I see as an opportunity. This is sort of the contradictions of neoliberalism and the Democrats' broader fucking political strategy, the inner contradictions of it essentially beginning to show itself. Very, very clear. And lefties would be quite fucking intelligent to take advantage of this. Push people further. Everyone likes to, for example, like shit on Vaush constantly for saying you need to vote for Joe Biden in 2020. If you don't, you're a fucking idiot. This is what happens when you vote for fucking Joe Biden. It creates opportunity. There was a grander fucking strategy that was at play here. Now, Vaush may not fucking recognize that. I fucking recognize that. Because I'm not a fucking idiot. My plans and my strategies are years in advance. Because again, like I said before, without someone like an Obama type figure to carry the sort of like ineffective, feckless, pathetic, liberal sort of ineffective strategies going forward, this is what happens. Shit like this. This is what gets fucking catalyzed. And the inner contradictions of the fucking Democrats are starting to be shown plainly amongst Democrats. This is what you want. And a person who can help catalyze and harness that fucking movement are people like AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. They can help harness this potential discontent in a direction forward for the party. Listen, I don't measure my plans in mere steps. I measure them in grand leaps. And this is an opportunity and a plan. But unfortunately, a lot of lefties want to squander that because of like stupid LARP idiot bullshit. And yes, you are correct, Alex. Lena Khan was very good. I will give Joe Biden credit where credit is due. I was certainly not, and you know, I sort of take the Kyle Kulinski perspective here of where I was pleasantly fucking surprised. The only disagreement that I really had with Kyle Kulinski there, for example, was him saying, like, we have to just completely stay out of the election. There's no point. Like, they're both so ridiculously bad. He was doing the whole Bernie or bust shit. Because, again, Kyle Kalinske, unlike, I would say, probably, like, the fucking Chapo Boys, or, like, TrueAnon, or most of, like, the other, like, stupid dirtbag lefty podcasts or whatever, didn't really have any principled positions for maintaining that fucking position. Kyle Kalinske had some goddamn reasons for why he just wasn't doing it, and he would outline it constantly, which made it difficult to argue against, right? You would have to more so argue it on, like, a sort of, like, moral, philosophical perspective. Whereas, you know, Kyle would just be like, dude, like, look at what, like, fucking goddamn Joe Biden voted for and believed in. Like, fuck that. Like, but, you know, eventually, even throughout the course of 2020, even Kyle was convinced to eventually just pull the fucking trigger for Joe Biden. He eventually did it because he recognized, like, yeah, I can't do this. And now he's full, like, in support of just voting for the Democrats to make sure, like, because he was doing the whole thing, like, if you're even in, like, a swing state, you shouldn't vote for fucking Democrats. He doesn't fucking believe in that anymore. Like, not at all. He's fully, like, for, like, oh, they are completely fucking worse. So, I don't know what Kyle thought about the slogan "Abolish ICE," but I saw him recently. You need to send an apology letter to the people that said "Abolish ICE." They were right. I don't really remember about Kyle Kalinski's positions on ICE or whatever. That could just be like some fucking random bullshit. That doesn't matter. Okay, that's a tangent, completely random. Who cares about that? This is a strategic opportunity, and I need people to recognize this as a potential opportunity. Again, it's really easy to just drop the Democrats, say they're completely worthless, you know, vis-a-vis, like, dumbasses like Mike from PA or whatever, just say that they're a completely fucking worthless party. Sure, you can do that. Or, more importantly, you can harness the discontent and use it as fuel, as energy, to catalyze a takeover, a potential hostile takeover of the Democratic Party itself. Now, obviously, the DNC and the establishment, they're going to push back significantly against this. But this right here, this is an opportunity. So to say to just abandon the Democratic Party when they are at their weakest point, especially amongst Democrats themselves, would be a waste. So this is an opportunity. And with people like Zoran Mamdani, certainly giving a blueprint for a way to move forward to potentially harness this energy. That is the fucking plan. The strategy is rather simple. This is a grand strategy, but are people going to recognize this fucking strategy? Well, that's an entirely different question in of itself.